All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. It is Tuesday, February 3rd, and I have a jam-packed show for you. So in just a second, Trump keeps on saying and admitting he's going to try to steal the next election. He just keeps saying it, and then everybody keeps shoving their head in the sand, and they pretend like he's not saying it. It's so infuriating to watch. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the new bombshell news about ICE. They are currently building 23 concentration camps. There's detailed reporting on this. They are actually building 23 different concentration camps. We'll talk about that. We have this incredible story. It's a bombshell story. I believe it was Wall Street Journal. Trump is selling tech secrets from the U.S., giving it to the UAE, and he did it in exchange for $500 million in this massively corrupt scheme that they broke down for us. So we'll talk about that as well. Truly, truly incredible stuff. Later on, there are no more ifs, ands, or buts about it. A U.S. intelligence report said that Gaza had turned into an apocalyptic wasteland. That report was supposed to get to Joe Biden, but it was quashed by people inside the Biden administration. They made it so he couldn't see that. And then, of course, the money kept flowing, the weapons kept flowing, the genocide continued unabated. Absolutely nightmare stuff, man. Just a horrible, horrible story. And everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty is the only way to say it. And then later on, we'll lighten up the mood just a little bit because Donald Trump apparently sharded on live TV, and then his aides had to rush the press out of the room in order to handle that. So that's the speculation. We have video of it. We're going to dissect the video like it's a Zapruder film. So you guys know the deal, man. Everybody please do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you absolutely nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. I need you guys to remember, man, this is real independent media. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I've never talked to a billionaire or a PAC or a government or anything like that. I'm very, very proud of that. I'm proud of what we built here. You guys made it possible $2 a month at a time, $5 a month at a time. I know a lot of you guys tip with that thanks button on YouTube. That also is very much appreciated, and thank you guys very much. You could also sign up for Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And you go sub to Corin's World, where we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss that. We have a lot of fun. It's a lot more laid back than this is. And with that being said, y'all, let's get into it. So Trump cannot help himself. He keeps blurting the quiet part out loud. He keeps basically admitting that he's going to steal the next election. His filter is totally gone. He's nothing but a giant Republican id now. And so he went on Dan Bongino's show. Now, for those of you who don't remember, Dan Bongino was part of the FBI, Kash Patel's FBI. And he was there for every massive failure, from the Epstein files fuck up to the fuck up in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination. I mean, this guy is just, he may as well get failure tattooed on his forehead, right? He's a mess. And he apparently desperately wanted to get back to his podcast because he'd rather do that than work a real job. He was miserable working for the Trump regime. But now he's like the chief Trump propagandist, and his audience fucking despises him. Now everybody realizes, like, really? So you signed up to cover up the Epstein files, then come back and lie to us and spit in our face? That's basically his audience's reaction, and he knows he's pissing away his audience. So Trump comes on his show, and he just engages in a fucking lie fest. Half the time he's saying the quiet part loud and telling the truth. The other half the time he's just lying relentlessly. So let's listen. First, he talks about Minnesota.
Minnesota, if they allowed us to do the job, it's a mess. There's something in the water up there, and I love the state. I won the state 3 times, but I got no credit for it. I won that state 3 times, but it's a rigged state.
With how casually he lies, it's so insane. You know how many times he actually won the state of Minnesota? 0, donut, zilch, nada, never. He never won the state of Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the most solidly blue states in the country. And here he is lying, saying, I won it 3 times. It's just incredible, the shit he says.
Really rigged badly with the Somalians and the theft. And I guess you studied it, but I hear it's over $19 billion, okay? Can you imagine? They have a country where they have no money, they have no nothing, and they come over here and they steal. They're able to steal more than $19 billion. And we're right on their ass.
Yeah, that was one of the first cases when I got in
These are people that don't work. Yeah. Dan, these are people that don't work. These are people that are just not an asset to our society, to put it mildly. And we got to get them out, most of them. And it's most of them.
I want to tell the audience.
92% don't work.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is the most racist man on planet Earth. I've never seen somebody this racist. Holy shit. He just said 92% of Somalis in this country don't work. He also, just like Nick Shirley, can't help but just equate them with criminal and equate them with pirates and equate them with fraudsters. No, Don, you keep pardoning the fraudsters. That's how we know the Somalis aren't fraudsters, because you haven't pardoned all of them yet. I swear to God, did you guys see that story? Trump pardoned somebody who was guilty of fraud. They get out, they commit fraud again, they get found guilty again, they're convicted, they get locked up. Trump pardons them again. He has pardoned a fraudster multiple times, even after they went on to reoffend. He keeps pardoning people who are the biggest con men in the fucking country. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of fraud. Trump himself is a con man and scammed his own supporters 2 days before his inauguration with a crypto shitcoin. By the way, you know who else did that? Melania, his wife. Okay? It's a family full of fucking scam artists and con artists. And here he is accusing Somalis, which, by the way, it's Somalis, not Somalians, of being fucking fraudsters. I can't take this shit, bro. I can't take it with how and again, let's keep it real. Why are they doing this? It's divide and conquer. It's like, hey guys, look away from all the fraudsters I'm pardoning. Look away from all the corruption I'm doing on a daily basis, making deals with Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Qatar and Vietnam. Look over here. Black people. It's black people doing something that you don't like. Let's focus on them. Let's get mad at them. Meanwhile, Trump represents the Epstein class, the pedophile, cannibal billionaires who like to torture children. He represents them and defends them. They're the biggest criminals in the world, but he likes to point the finger at innocent Somalis who just came in this country to make a better living for themselves. By the way, the person who was the head of that entire fraud ring, where it's true that there were a bunch of Somalis who were involved in the fraud ring, but the ringleader of that was a white woman. Something you'll never hear him fucking bring up ever. God, it's just so, I can't. He's like an old school racist. He's like a 1950s style racist. He does this all the time when talking about like AOC and Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib. He'll go like, that one's low IQ, but then that one's lower IQ, and then that one's even lower IQ. And he literally does it based on color of skin. Like the lighter your skin, the higher IQ he says you are. And then the darker your skin, the lower IQ he says you are. He is an old school 1950s eugenic style hardcore racist, which is so ironic because he would probably score at the bottom of an IQ test among everybody in Congress. He's probably like in the bottom 10%.
And they have an unbelievable system, corrupt system of welfare. You know, many of them drive Mercedes-Benzes, had nothing when they came over. The good news is...
Bro, he's literally looking at the AI-generated slop videos that are being sent around on right-wing Twitter of like Somalis in court getting sentenced or driving Lamborghinis or Mercedes-Benzes. He's bringing that up as if it's real.
You notice I don't see ships being stolen anymore from Somalia? Because we hit those guys with the same weapon that we take out the drug dealers from the ocean. We stop. Every time we hit a boat, we knock out. We save 25,000 lives. Each boat, and pretty accurate, each boat is responsible for the death of 25,000 Americans.
Look at Dan. How embarrassing is it to be Dan Bongino? You have this racist, old, pedophile, rapist war criminal babbling about saving 25,000 lives for every single fishing boat he blows up in the Caribbean. And you have Dan Bongino sitting there looking like a fucking mannequin, like a sweaty-ass mannequin, nodding along in agreement. I hope you're proud of yourself. By the way, this guy's going to be dead within like 5 years. And Dan Bongino, you got to live the rest of your life with the stain of sucking up to this asshole.
And we knock him out like candy. We are knocking him out. We also do that with the pirates in Somalia. That's why you don't see ships being taken anymore, because they don't play.
Pirates. Talking about pirates. I swear to God, him and Nick Shirley are on the same level mentally, where Nick Shirley was talking to Andrew Callahan and he goes, when you think Somalia, what do you think of? And he looks at him and he says, it's pirates. You didn't say pirates, so you're not being honest. Everybody thinks pirates when they think of Somalia. Like, motherfucker, your only connection with an entire group of people is a fucking Tom Hanks movie from like 2010 or whatever the fuck that came out. That just shows how little you know. That's all that shows. Your dumb fucking knee-jerk reaction. That's like somebody, in another country asked about the U.S. and like, hey, when I say American, what do you think of? And they go like, John Wayne. Everybody's like John Wayne and they have a cowboy hat and a fucking horse. It's like, your whole perception of a group of people is from some fucking Hollywood movie and you're not embarrassed to speak out loud. And that's how Trump thinks too. They're all pirates. They're all pirates. But we know they're not fraudsters because I would have already pardoned them if they were fraudsters. I pardon all the fraudsters, don't I, folks?
They were stealing ships every day. Now it takes courage to steal ships. They don't do it. You understand. And you did a great job while at the FBI, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Oh, God, so embarrassing. So embarrassing. All right, but we're not done yet because now it gets even scarier. This is the part where he says the quiet part out loud. He melts down and admits, like, yeah, we're going to steal the next election. Listen to this.
These people were brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally.
That's a lie, by the way. It's a total lie. The idea that, oh, they're busing in undocumented immigrants to vote. They can't fucking vote. He knows that. Republicans know that. They just lie about it because they're trying to bring in voter disenfranchisement rules to try to lower the number of people that vote, because the fewer people vote, the more likely it is Republicans win. That's how it works. So all this is bullshit to try to do more voter disenfranchisement. Let's keep going.
You know, amazing that the Republicans aren't tougher on it. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won.
He's saying we should nationalize the vote in at least 15 places. What he means is, let's go into crucial key swing areas. Let's seize the ballots, and we'll do the counting, and we'll let you know what happened. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. We should nationalize the vote. By the way, just to be clear, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. We explicitly made it so you can't nationalize the vote in order to keep the voting at the state level, to keep it more fair, to keep it more decentralized, to keep it more so that the election can't be stolen by a wannabe tyrant or dictator. Okay? That's the whole point of how we structured it. He's saying we should nationalize it. We should nationalize it. We should march in there and seize the ballots, which, by the way, he just seized the ballots from the 2020 election from Fulton County, Georgia, the same place where he was caught making a phone call to top Georgia officials, and he said, I need you to find me 11,780 votes. That's all I need is 11,700, because he was down exactly that amount to Joe Biden, okay? So here he is. He's broadcasting it. Republicans should go in there, seize the vote, nationalize it, so that the states, they're cheating. See, guys, oldest trick in the book. You accuse the other people of doing what you're doing. So you say they're stealing it because your plan is to steal it. And so you say, in order to prevent them from stealing it, I need to get involved. I need to seize the ballots. I need to nationalize the vote. That's what we're talking about here. And remember, this is a guy who tried it in 2020. So it's not like this is foreign. This is like Occam's razor. You know, the best predictor of future action is going to be past action. He already tried to steal the 2020 election. Okay, so we're in trouble here.
We have states that I won that, Joe, I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get, with a court order, the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, I'm going to announce some bullshit around the seized ballots from Georgia. He's got his little lackeys in the deep state currently cooking up some cockamamie bullshit about, oh, we found that they actually stole 11,781 votes, the Democrats did. He's going to come out there and say some shit like that, and then all the right-wing idiots are going to run with it and act like it's proven, act like it's a fact, and we further and further down the rabbit hole we go. We have this bifurcation between actual reality and the world that the right-wing postmodernists live in. And so he's laying the groundwork to say, we have to prevent the stealing the next time around because they stole it in 2020. Therefore, we have to seize the ballots. We have to nationalize it. I have to send in the National Guard. I'm telling you, that's what we're going towards. It sounds conspiratorial. It's not. The conspiratorial thing is pretending like everything is going to go smoothly under this asshole's watch right now.
But, you know, like the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. Everybody does it.
Understand, guys, his obsession about 2020, it has nothing to do with 2020. It's about laying the groundwork for stealing the next election. That's the point. That's the point. Now, by the way, we have this article that just came out. Donald Trump is laying the groundwork to void the midterm election results. The FBI seizure of ballots from the 2020 election in Georgia is a preview of Trump's plan for this year's midterms. But perhaps the most threatening action Trump has taken in the past month is one that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention. Last week, the FBI seized ballots, voter rolls, and other records related to the 2020 election from the Fulton County Election Center in Georgia. Fulton County includes Atlanta and surrounding metro areas. As with so much else, the Trump administration, the action was unprecedented. Trump has long fumed that the 2020 election was stolen from him in Georgia. He was even recorded pressuring the state election official, a Republican, in January 2021 to find 11,780 votes to make up his deficit. The FBI raid was attended by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who has no reason to be involved in local election issues. Indeed, the federal government has no control over local elections. Apparently, the ostensible reason for Gabbard's involvement is a crackpot conspiracy theory that somehow the Italians intervened with the vote via satellite at the behest of China. Guys, This shit is crazy. So we discussed the other day, there was this MAGA Republican who bought one of the voting machine companies. And when that guy bought the voting machine company, he then levied a complaint with the court saying there's voter anomalies that I discovered. Then that's how they got the warrant to go in there to seize the ballots that they just did. So this is all a plan. This is all a plot. This is all, it's very complicated how they're doing it in order to lay the groundwork to steal the next election. It's absolutely insane, man. It's insane. What makes the raid so frightening is that it looks like a dress rehearsal for this year's midterm elections. Trump just said last month that he regretted not ordering the National Guard to seize the ballots in 2020, which, by the way, why did everybody act like that didn't happen? Why did everybody sort of brush that one aside? I mean, I understand it was in the midst of him basically saying, I'm going to steal Greenland. I understand it was in the midst of him abducting Maduro, a sovereign leader in Venezuela, and doing regime change. I understand it's in the midst of his Gestapo SS stormtroopers shooting Americans in the face and murdering them. But when he literally comes out and says he regrets not ordering the National Guard to seize the ballots in 2020, what's the takeaway from that? The takeaway is, oh, he's going to make them do that the next time around, and he's preparing. He literally said, oh, I don't think they have the logistical capabilities to do it back then. In other words, we're working on giving them that capability now. They say facing a potential Democratic landslide in November, Trump is setting the stage to carry through on his deferred wishes. Trump has no respect for law or norms. He only cares about himself. He hates being branded a loser, and the idea of having Democrats in at least one chamber of Congress, and increasingly perhaps both, is one he will not abide. He won't allow any restraints on his power. If that means declaring elections invalid, he will, even if he has no right to do so. While the Georgia raid was shocking, it wasn't the only sign of Trump's focus on overturning fair election results. Attorney General Pam Bondi's letter, more like a ransom note, to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, laying out the conditions for reducing ICE's presence in the state, included a request for the state's voter rolls. That's another thing people didn't talk about nearly enough. They sent a letter to Tim Walz saying, yeah, maybe we'll get ICE and CBP out of your hair and we'll stop illegally occupying the good people of Minnesota and murdering them. But in exchange for us withdrawing, you need to give us the voter data. You need to give us the voter rolls. Again, why? Why would he want to do that? Why would they want him to do that? Because they want to do ballot spoiling and ballot purging. By the way, there was just a report that came out. You know how ICE is going around taking pictures of all the people observing them? One of the things they're doing, they're putting you in a massive database and considering you a domestic terrorist, but they're also purging you from the voter rolls. There was a big report that just came out about that, man. So understand what's happening here. They are stopping at nothing to cling to power. There's a reason they're acting like they'll never have to face the voters again, because in their minds, they'll never have to face the voters again. How else can you get a situation where the world's richest man, a guy who's nearly a trillionaire with a T, illegally hacked into the Treasury and cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and the CFPB, which is the anti-scam police? They cut everything good about this government totally illegally. They overrode Congress like it was nothing and acted like, hey, whatever, there's going to be no consequences for this. They do that because they are going to try to hang on to power forever. That's what this is. Trump has made it clear that the only elections he likes are the ones he wins. He would probably prefer a coronation to an election anyway. In an interview with Reuters last month, he said he had accomplished so much. Quote, when you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election. That's what Trump said. When you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election. Trump will do everything that he can to avoid Republicans being crushed in November because he knows that it will be a referendum on him. Republicans will gladly abet him. Now that swearing Trump on the 2020 election is an article of faith. If it means seizing ballots, Trump will order it. Whatever restraints were on him in 2020 are long gone. If you think things are bad now, just wait until the election. And by the way, this is why it's such a big deal that Trump surrounded himself with lying little weasel sycophants. He surrounded himself with yes men and yes women. Any shred of integrity that was in that room that was brought by Gary Cohn or Steve Mnuchin or Mick Mulvaney or anybody who agrees with Trump 90% of the time, but on 10% of stuff is willing to go, I don't know about that, sir. That's all gone. Now you're surrounded by people who are 100% yes men. Now you're surrounded by people who don't think for themselves. They are true Kool-Aid drinking, fascist, terrorist, death cultists. That's who they are. And so Trump says jump, they say how high. And now you need to worry about this as well, because he keeps broadcasting it and everybody keeps acting like this is not happening. Everybody keeps acting like, hey, we'll get out of this. Will we though? Will we? I don't think lawsuits are going to be enough. That's the thing I'm worried about. I don't think lawsuits are going to be enough when jackbooted thugs show up to voting places and they try to seize the ballots. I don't think it's going to be enough to say, we filed a court order. Meanwhile, they're literally rummaging through the votes and changing the results as we speak. No, we need to block them up front. The police need to be ordered to be ready to block the National Guard or block the military from carrying out these actions. Because we can't be behind on this one. We have to be ahead on this one, ladies and gentlemen. And we are not at the moment. We are not ahead. So beware. Because he keeps saying, I'm going to try to steal the election. He did it in 2020. People forget, man. People forget about the fake elector slate. When you actually explain that, and if people haven't heard it, when you actually explain it to them, they go, that sounds fucking mental. Like the fact that this actually happened, that they did these alternate slates of electors because they think, oh, we think Trump wants. We did alternate slates of electors. They told them, hey, you're only going to be used if on the recount Trump wins. But then they said to each other internally, we're actually going to use them no matter what. And so they're not alternate slates of electors. They are fake slates of electors. And they did these fake ceremonies pretending like Trump won states that he lost. And they were going to use this to take it to the court to go, hey, we say he won, so we did our own thing over here, so he gets to stay in power. They were literally carrying out the plot to take the election. It just happened to be the case that they were half a step behind, right? Well, now they're 5 steps ahead. And so people need to wake up to this fact. And I'm sorry, man, I can't forgive people who back Trump, especially that third time, given what we already knew about him. We already knew he tried to steal the election in 2020. We already knew about January 6th. We already knew about the fake elector slate. We already heard him say stuff like, I'm going to terminate the Constitution to get back in power. We knew all this. And there were still people that backed him. So you can't say you weren't warned. You've been warned. I need Democrats to prepare. I need people in the legal community to prepare. I need law enforcement to be on our side at the state level. And you need to block whatever nefarious actions they roll out, because they absolutely positively are going to do it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.